Don't rent an apartment just because you're trying to impress people around you. Make sure you are able to afford the house you're trying to rent. So if the place is a place where there's so many gang violence, cultism, kidnapping, robbery and all that, you don't want to stay in that kind of neighborhood. No matter how cheap the house is, no matter how beautiful the house is, then your tenancy agreement, please read this thing through, because I've seen some very funny tenancy agreements. I've seen some really funny ones. Hey loves, what's up and welcome to my channel. I'm Rocky Daniels, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing some helpful tips that will come in handy whenever you are going house hunting or you're searching for a new apartment to move in. Like, this tip has been really helpful to me. Whenever I go house hunting, I always use these tips, and it has been really helpful to me. Just want to use this moment to thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, like my videos, share my videos. Please help this new YouTuber grow a channel, and thank you so much. So let's get back to business. So what are these things I do whenever I want to go house hunting? The first thing is, like, I try to know what I can afford. I'll make my budget. I already know what I'm earning, so you should know what you're earning. Make your budget. Don't rent an apartment just because you're trying to impress people around you. Make sure you are able to afford the house you're trying to rent. So that's one important thing to do, so that you don't break the bank. You don't go about taking loans and asking people for money when it's time for you to, like, renew your subsequent rent. So this is something you should consider. Then you should like the house you're trying to rent. Don't just manage. The apartment is something that you should not manage. Make sure you like where you're trying to rent. It's important. Like where you're trying to rent, because I don't know, someone like me, if I rent a house that I don't like, I just feel I'm going to get depressed and all that, because I'm going to be staying there for a while. So why should I rent somewhere I don't like? So I'll make sure I rent something within my budget and something I like. The next thing I would suggest is, like, do an assessment. Survey the area, know where you're renting, because there are some places, like in Nigeria, there's some places that are flood prone during the rainy season and very sandy during the dry season. So like someone like me, if I want to rent a house, I think I'll start searching around, like maybe 5 months before my rent expires, or before I intend to rent an apartment. I'll start searching earlier. Like, I'll survey the neighborhood. I'll picture the place I want, so I'll go around places I feel that fit that picture in my mind, and I'll start surveying. I'll most likely go during the rainy season to make sure that it's not flood prone. Then during the dry season, I'll also check if it's so sandy that maybe you can't drive or something. If you're someone that have a car, you need to rent a place that is good. The road is good. Even though you don't have a car, you need to rent a place that is good, because you need access to transportation. Because when the road is not good, so many people would not want to go to your place. Maybe if you order boat or you take a taxi and you mention the name of your street, to say, no way, I'm not going to that place. So make sure you try and survey the place. If the place is okay, if it's flood prone, if it's too sandy, is it motorable? These are things that you should ask yourself, and not just rush to rent a house just because the price is very cheap. Just consider maybe the reason why it's really cheap, because there are some things that are lacking in that place. So then again, your neighborhood, try and know the kind of people that are going to be your neighbors, not necessarily in the same apartment, but around your street. Even especially if you're a parent, even though you're this kind of person that prefer your kids being indoor, and you monitoring the people that your kids play with. Sometimes, even when your kids are always indoor, when you are going to school, they are going to see the people around. When you send them on errands, they're going to see the people around. When you're going to church, when you're going out, they're going to see the people around. If it's a place where there are lots of drug users, lots of prostitution, cultism and all that, you don't want to rent an apartment and raise your kids in that kind of environment. So be very careful when it comes to things like this. Survey the area, know the kind of people that are staying around you, because you don't want to raise bad kids. Then proximity to school. Is the place you're trying to rent, is it close to your school, children's school? Is it close to your workplace? You don't want to rent somewhere that is so far, then you start spending so much money on transportation. So even if you intend to change your kids' school, make sure you survey the area. Are there good schools? Because it's very important. Like education is a very important side. Don't really play with children's education. I feel it's important. So survey, try to know, find out if there are good schools around. So that's something I do and something I would recommend you guys to do. Then availability of social amenities. Is there water running in your house? Is there good power supply? Is there strong signal when your network connectivity is this strong? All those kind of things you should consider it. Like something I usually do whenever I want to rent my house. I always go with my mobile phone and I'll start browsing the web to know if the network connection is very strong. So I don't want to stay in a place where I can't have access to internet and all that. So I really do all this kind of check for water, check for power supply and all that. Have to ask the landlord. You can always go to people in the neighborhood, maybe variable people that sell. You can meet them and ask them, how is this neighborhood? Is there good power supply? Because you don't want to be spending all your money on fuel now that is so expensive. So ask those people selling. I think they are going to be honest and tell you if there's good power supply and all this kind of stuff. Is the road okay? Like I mentioned when I said surveying the environment, is the road okay? Are there good healthcare facilities around? This is something you should try and investigate, try and know all this thing because it's very important. Then security. Don't play with your security. Like this should be like one of the major things. Try and ask people around. Or you can even see it if the place is a place where there's so many gang violence, cultism, kidnapping, robbery and all that. You don't want to stay in that kind of neighborhood. No matter how cheap the house is, no matter how beautiful the house is, your safety comes first. So try and ask around, do your own investigation. You just use your head, survey and try and interact with the people around to know if the place is actually good, if the place is secure. Then your tenancy agreement. Please read this thing through because I've seen some very, very funny tenancy agreements. I've seen some really funny ones, like no visitors in your apartment that you paid your money to rent, no putting on of generators and all some kind of funny stuff. Okay, don't watch, no washing of clothes inside your house. You have to like take the water outside. Like I don't understand. In the apartment I rented with my own money. So these are things you should go through. If you see any part that you're not comfortable with, you can always call the person's attention. Please, I am not comfortable with this part of your agreement. Is there any way you can change it? And if you cannot change it, it's fine. There's no need to beat yourself up or there's no need to start getting worked up about it. You can always search for a new apartment. So these are some things I do whenever I want to rent an apartment. Or if I go house hunting, these are some things I do. What do you do when you go house hunting? Do you do these things? You do security checks, they survey the environment, and you do all these things. I really love to know your opinion. Please share down in the comment section below. And I just want to use this moment to appreciate you guys once more. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for all the love you've been showing to me. And please help this girl grow a YouTube channel. So thank you and bye from this end. I see you in my next video.